friends, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots.
Yeah, it's called Cuss Words. It's coming out April 1st.
That's like a good fair warning, because I feel like Sean Russell and the Cutthroat Finches are not known for their swearing.
No.
But with the sample that I heard,
Yes.
people will be prepared ahead of time now.
Well, yeah, the lead song that we did, the only song we released from it so far is called the Asshole Song. So kind of stays in that range.
Well, you're setting the bar, right?
It's funny, but it's like probably not, maybe not for your students for them to cover. I don't see like a Nancy's collab,
No, we're definitely, despite how this podcast has already started, we are a family-friendly music school.
Information on how to find Fort Worth Roots on social media, our events that are coming up, and more information on our sponsors will be at the very end of the episode. Real quick, this episode, we do want to highlight one of our sponsors, Pouring Glory. They can be found at 1001 Bryan Avenue or online at pouringglory.com. Just recently nominated by the Fort Worth Weekly for their incredible food. They also have a lot of different craft beers. I don't know how many, but it's like a whole wall of craft beers. And every Sunday they have off the leash dog park in the back. I think until 4 o'clock on Sundays. Really cool deal. I actually just came from there. Love that place. Very happy to have them as a sponsor. More information on our sponsors at the end of the episode. Today's episode was recorded at Blackstone Recording Studios. They just recently opened, not too long ago. And our co-host today, who I'll name in a minute, invited us out to check out the studio and do a recording in this amazing space. And you can find Blackstone Studios at blackstonefw.com. This is an incredible place with all the functionality of any awesome recording studio. Every musician here in Fort Worth should record at this place, Blackstone Recording Studios. And the guest of our show today is with Fort Worth Music Academy. Fort Worth Music Academy is a music lessons and instruction school. You can find them online at fortworthmusicacademy.com. Okay, that's enough talking out of me. Please give it up for our friend from Fort Worth Music Academy, Mr. Eric Bourassa, and our co-host, Mr. Sean Russell from the Cutthroat Finches. You'll find out why. It's all right. Let's start the show. So this was a weird thing. So Eric is with the Fort Worth Music Academy. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. And I contacted Sean because I knew that you guys had been working together and thought that it'd be cool to have Sean along. And he invited us out here to Blackstone Studio, which opened 2 weeks ago.
Yes, it did.
This place is incredible.
We all got the tour. Sean, I guess this isn't your first time recording here, is it?
First time recording here, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so they just got, everything ready and did their open house a couple weeks ago, and it's finished out amazingly well. I didn't expect it quite this finish out in some of the, just the lounge area. It's just set up. It's got everything that, you'd kind of want in a studio to be in for a long haul, especially where you're eating here, restrooms, lounge area to hang out, and then a big open room where your whole band can play, and a lot of stuff set in place so that you're not, so you're not stuck with trying to set up and have to mic drums, which is where you waste most of your time in the studio anyways.
Mark and Nick, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
They were telling me that they're not totally finished with the place either. They've got plans to do other stuff, and I won't put that on a podcast recording, but they've got more dreams and visions of the place as they move along. So,
But even where it is right now, I mean, when I think of like a local recording studio, I think of just some kind of beat down place with an old mixer. And when I walked in here, I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Like this place is like every musician's dream of what, and I can't believe we have this here in Fort Worth.
Yep.
Or anybody that's ever wanted a studio.
Or yeah.
It's very well put together.
Yep, it is. It's really well done. So we're excited. We're going to record here for sure. To finish out a record for Cutthroat Finches, and then this is what we're recording today is another project called The Nancys, which we can talk about at another time. It's satirical, and the album's called Cuss Words. It's coming out April 1st.
That's like a good fair warning, because I feel like Sean Russell and the Cutthroat Finches are not known for their swearing.
No.
But with the sample that I heard, people will be prepared ahead of time now.
Well, yeah, the lead song that we did, the only song we released from it so far is called the Asshole Song. So kind of stays in that range.
Well, you're setting the bar, right?
It's funny, but it's like probably not, maybe not for your students for them to cover. I don't see like a Nancy's collab,
No, we're definitely, despite how this podcast has already started, we are a family-friendly music school. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep. So let's dive into that. So Fort Worth Music Academy.
Yes.
From what I've seen, it looks like you've got a bunch of kiddos in between the ages of probably 7 and 14 out there honing in a new skill.
Yes. Well, so not only that, 30% of our students are adult guitarists.
Okay.
And so we get adult players contacting us all the time, like, oh, I don't know, I feel weird. Like, am I going to be the only adult? And I'm like, no, we've got quite a community of adult guitar players as well. But I would say the average age for kids is usually between 6 and 12 that sign up. If I had to really hone in, it'd be 9.
Yeah.
Like, we get more 9-year-olds than any other age, but we do start as early as 4. And then I think our oldest student is 70 something, maybe 72. Mm-hmm. So, and everything in between. The only people we will reject outright is if you're between the ages of like 18 and 26 and you're paying for the lessons yourself. I am going to grill you. I'm going to ask you 100 questions and try to get you to not sign up for lessons with us.
Really?
And is it because of the obvious reason, or?
Yeah, we think about where you were when you were in your early 20s. Usually you're broke. There's a lot of life changes happening. Not a lot of stability.
Not showing up to most lessons.
Right.
Not paying for most lessons that you didn't show up to.
Yeah. So it's typically like we have ages 4 to about 17 or 18, and then we have like ages 30 and up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just don't want to waste their money, right? The 18 to 26.
That's true, and I do tell them that because sometimes in their minds they're like, "Oh, I could do lessons for like 2 or 3 months. I've got enough money for that." And I'm like, "Just don't bother. Mm-hmm. If you're going to take lessons with us, you need to adopt the mindset of doing this for several years because it's going to take at least 2 years before you're even really feeling comfortable in your instrument."
I've heard it referred to as artistically fluent, like being able to come up with your own stuff. Is that what you're saying? 2 years?
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, because you should be enjoying the whole process, like from day one. If the first time you hit a note, it feels good and it gives you that spark and that inspiration, then you're on the right track. But yeah, to feel artistically fluent, that's a really good way of putting it. I'm going to start using that.
I'm just regurgitating some other smart person's verbiage here. That didn't come out of my mind.
So, a couple of years before you're really feeling like it's kind of natural. Like, like think about those first 6 months or that first year. If you were to play for somebody, you're like totally tense. You can't relax. It takes several years before you're kind of, ebb and flowing and feeling good.
Yeah, I agree. I think I like playing anywhere. I don't know how long it was before I wanted to actually play and anyone actually hear it, because otherwise it's that awkward, like, well, hold on a minute, and you just start over, and it's like, no, just play through. No one cares, about your cover of "Sweet Child of Mine" right there. Okay. You're killing it.
There's nothing worse than like when you watch somebody play and they get like into a verse and they're like, hold on, I messed up. I got to start the song over. It's like, no, just keep going.
Yeah.
Punch through it.
Yeah. Nobody even knows. And wouldn't you say, Sean, like the same kind of goes for live playing? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't care how good you get. If you've never played live, that's a whole new learning curve.
Right.
You could be the best player in the world, but your first live performance is going to be awful. Mm-hmm. And it probably takes, several years before that feels comfortable.
Yeah, the whole recital process and the traditional lessons and everything like that. I was talking to somebody about it last night. It'd be like, again, someone saying, "Hey, you want to learn how to play soccer?" And then, okay, for the next year, sit here and juggle this soccer ball. It's like, well, that's just one thing. That's not really playing the game. It's not really what it is or what you're working towards. What I like, about the way lessons are being taught more generally now, is in an environment where it's like you're learning a song, then you're a lot of times backing out of it and learning this is why you're doing that. This is the theory that's behind why that sounds the way it does, or why it does what it, and I think that's much more impactful,
Yeah, as much as I like to think like, oh, we're pioneers of music lessons or something, we're really not. You're right. The whole culture has changed in the way that music is taught now.
The places are succeeding, at least I should say, the successful ones. There's a clear pattern that people clearly like. They again, they want to learn to play for a purpose, you know what I mean, rather than just an abstract idea about just for the sake of proficiency. It's like, yes, but to play, or hopefully to collaborate, or to make your own music, or whatever you're going to do with it,
Yeah, because to me, there's no greater joy than making music with other people, either writing music or improvising or getting on stage with them. And that's not everybody's goal, but that to me is kind of the end all be all. And I think there's much more of a focus on that now. And I think back to like when I first saw the movie School of Rock. By the end of that movie, I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to start a school of rock. And so that's what I was going to call my music school. Well, lo and behold, the movie is based on an actual international
Somebody beat you
musical
to the punch.
franchise.
This is a great spot for me to ask this question that's just burning me up. Because, Sean, last time you were on, we were at the ISIS Theater doing our recording, and you had mentioned that I think it might have been my term, but I called it the puppy mill of music programs where they're just cranking out units.
Oh yeah.
And you were talking more about the kind of the mentorship program where you've got one-on-one opportunities to instruct these young musicians.
Sure.
What do you think sets Fort Worth Music Academy apart from, say, School of Rock?
Oh, that's such a good question.
It's loaded too, so if it's too much,
this is where I could say pass.
Yeah,
No. Well, first of all, I have to give credit where credit is due. I mean, School of Rock really did pioneer the way for this generation of how music lessons is taught, and they really set that standard. What sets us apart, and I had to think about this for a long time, like for several years. I'm like, well, how are we different? Why would anyone come to us versus going to a place like School of Rock? So what I did was I actually reached out to parents and adult students who had been with us for 10 years, for 5 years, and for 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
So specifically in those groups, I said, why did you choose us, and why do you continue to stay with us? Because I honestly didn't know.
Oh.
I mean, like, I believe in what we do, but I didn't know what the reasoning was. And the 3 most common answers we got were that they liked how encouraging we were, how personalized everything was, and how it felt like a safe environment. So those surprised me, because I expected like enthusiasm, or like how quickly you got my kid being proficient. And I was like, wow, okay, I guess that's our different factor. And it's not necessarily better or worse than anybody else who does music lessons, but it's different. So if someone wants to go to School of Rock, they know they're getting one thing, which is great. And if they come to us, they know they're getting something, which is great. And then I probably shouldn't name all my competitors, but if they go to Creative Soul, they're getting something different there. And what I always tell people is when they contact us about lessons is, I'm like, listen, wherever you sign up, you're probably investing thousands and thousands of dollars over many years. So I would encourage you to visit as many different music schools and teachers as you can.
Right.
And find that fit. Find where your kiddo or you as an adult student really connects with the instructor and the atmosphere and the vibe of that music school. Because nothing is worse than if someone got several months into lessons with us and they're like, this isn't for me.
Yeah.
I don't want that. If someone signs up with us, I want them to be feeling good about it for years.
Yeah.
What was ironic to me with the School of Rock system was that there were a lot. In fact, everybody that was teaching in there at one point when my daughter was going there. So again, I mean, I see some of the good parts about the school as far as what it's doing, like you said.
Well, yeah, because Maddie's a rock star now.
Yeah,
oh my God, Sean sent me a music video.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I've seen her play live.
Oh my
Who
gosh,
was she playing with that night?
There's two.
I always mess up their
groups.
name, but Ariana Lights was there.
Arenda Light, yeah.
Arenda Lights.
Yeah.
I always mess up that name.
I called them Ariana Lights also. I said the same thing the first time.
Ariella Light.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, exactly. And then, but it was, and then a band called The Gray, and I think Maddie was singing with them, and then a band called Trash Puppies, and then her band is called Retrograde 88, and they just released their first video and first, drop of songs, basically.
That was a great night.
Yeah. But Maddie, she caught the fever of. She was learning from some really great musicians or writers, songwriters. They're in bands here, like Nolan from the Hendersons, who's also involved in this Nancy's project, one of the most incredible composers, like in Fort Worth. And Ansley lived here; she's now in Nashville. And then Ronnie Hart, I think, was teaching for a while there. And it was just all musicians that were all in working bands, But ironically, they weren't connecting. There was no songwriting. There was no structure for anything like that, or connecting with local music. And so these most of the kids in there, I don't think they really had it in their mind. Like, well, what do you do with this? I mean, like, what's the point of? And it may just be to be a cover band if that's what you want to do. But I remember talking to you about that, and talking to Eric about it, is when they started teaming us up. That's the unique thing, because now you're seeing, this is obviously a local version of it, but this is what you're really doing. This is a working band that is writing music and creating rather than imitating. Because the irony of it is that, again, your left and right brain, when you're just, of all things, to be conformed, to find conformity, to like, no, play it like this in music, and never express, okay, that's the mechanical piece, but then here's the writing piece, and this is right. Think about writing. Like, what are you doing this for? And again, it's some people, they just want to, it's just the process. They just want to learn. Not everybody wants to perform. Not everybody wants to write. But I think there's so many kids at School of Rock that were coming out of there, and then they don't go off, and they're not making music, really. And they pretty much just drop off the face of the earth musically.
They can play their instrument real good,
amazingly well. I mean, they're playing like Rush and Primus and all these like really difficult, but they've never even attempted writing with that.
Well, and I'm a big believer that creativity is a muscle that has to be exercised like anything else. And so you get these people that falsely believe, well, I need to master my instrument first, and then I can start writing. And it's like, no. You will be very disappointed in your writing skills if you do that. You need to work on them in tandem. So we're a big fan at Fort Worth Music Academy of getting students writing their own music as early as possible, coming up with their own version. So I think that's a big part that separates you guys, that connection with local music that you've been fostering, and then that, because like I said, it's kind of like, what are we doing there? I wouldn't have been interested in playing guitar just to, I mean, it's kind of cool around the campfire to cover, some songs and be able to sing along, but that would get old eventually. I'm the exact same way. I tell people, like, I wouldn't even play guitar still today if it wasn't for writing my own music. Like, that is,
Well, let me panhandle a free lesson out of you. Real quick.
Of course.
So what's a good exercise to get somebody started if they're wanting to brainstorm on how to create music or write their own song? Is there an exercise you present to these kids?
Yeah, so and for those of you listening, Andrew has just learned the E minor chord, so that's where he is in his guitar journey.
There's a video of me screwing around with the Savage guitar, trying to learn E minor. Yeah.
So, Sean, I don't know how you feel about this, but I was telling a potential student the other day on the phone when they were talking about how they wanted to learn songwriting, and I had to come clean with them. I was like, I'll be honest, we've got exercises for everything except really songwriting. Like, songwriting is so much about experimentation. You just have to take something you learn, or something where you are learning someone else's song and you accent, like maybe you're making that E minor chord and then you make a mistake and you're like, oh, that's not the right shape. Ooh, but that sounds cool. And then you've just made up your own chord. And the idea is that you just you follow that thread, you pull on that thread, and you're like, where can I go? I don't know. What do you think about that, Sean?
You know, if I was thinking, like, if I was, especially in the environment you're in, teaching too, is I've tried to encourage, like, my daughter when she doesn't feel like writing, to like some different things that she does to make it a habit, because I do think it is a muscle, and I think anybody can do it. It's just a matter of figuring out what they do, what they want to write about, what they care about, and then just doing it on a regular basis. But I feel like taking a song that they know or that they like, and then rewriting it. Okay, let's change these. So, like, here's this song, and it could be anything. And I told Maddie, I was like, look, write about something stupid that you don't really care about, just to write.
Yeah.
Something super mundane, and make it into a song about this rug or whatever. You know, like, write about it. You know, it's the process of making your brain think that way.
The way you're not emotionally attached to it, and you're just having fun.
But I think in a school environment, it's like you're learning those songs. First you learn the song, then you learn how to deconstruct what is that song doing. Then you're like, okay, what if we change this to a minor chord? What if we totally change the chord progression at all? And then how does that change the melody? And then you just keep deconstructing. It's like you learn it and then you deconstruct it. I think that would be.
I think you've just pioneered a new technique
right here on the Fort Worth Roots podcast.
We've never done it like that before, but we're going to start doing that. We're going to take a song and say, you're going to learn this song, and then we're going to start to just transform it.
The Sean Russell method.
I mean, everything. It's like, you know, imagine, I made a joke about Sweet Child of Mine, but imagine like saying you're going to come up with a guitar riff like this, but you can't do it in this sequence. So you've got to change it, and we're going to change the chord to this. So that means your sequence is going, you know, I could see that being a way, because again, they got the mechanics, their right brain, I would guess. And now how do you engage the left brain into this equation, where it's not all just a right brain thing, which is what, you know, a lot of times music can become, you know, a little too right brain, you know, oriented. So.
Yeah, and songwriting, like
you can call it the Russell method if you.
I will call it the Russell method. But you talking about it being a muscle, yeah, I think the idea is don't just wait for inspiration. If you're going to write, like, make that part of it your daily habit. Say, okay, I'm going to write a song, and nothing may come out. You will more than likely trash whatever it is. Yeah. But what happens is, if you're in a process of writing something every single day, well, then when inspiration does strike, maybe it's 6 months from now, you're so much more well trained that you can do the thing.
Kind of got a vehicle to plug it into.
Yeah. That process is so much. Yeah. So I don't know. I imagine, like, for me now, writing a song, like if you were to say, Eric, write a song in the next 15 minutes, I could write you a full song ready to go. I can't say that it would be good, but I can do it because I know how to work that muscle. And I imagine you could do the exact same thing, Sean.
Yeah, we've done like with Denver Williams and some other songwriters. Like Denver had done a lot of like songwriting, you know, groups or circles where they do, like, they have a specific drill. And it was funny when he started explaining it, my mind starts going like, oh, well, this would be like the deconstructing a song idea. Like, but another way that I think is a brilliant way to do it is to do it and just say, okay, here's a song, you know, like you have to write a verse that has 2 chords, you have to write a chorus that has 4 chords, and it has to have a key change, and it's going to be about this subject, you know. And it's like, it's almost like some of the problem is it's like having a box of the big box of crayons with 800 colors in it. You're kind of like, well, what do I really, I've got too many choices, too many options. So what if instead I just open it up and I have, you know, or I close it down to where I've got, you know, 10 or 12 options. And then what do I do? What do I create at that point? You know, it's good to take away some of those freedoms and kind of focus. Anything that can focus you down makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, totally.
So it's like, those 3 chords in the verse, and then you got a 2 chord, or just a whole song in 2 chords. Those are like specific challenges. Like you have 2 chords to make a whole song, and you're like, well, that's interesting. Like that's gonna be a challenge. Like, but then you start finding you can do all the stuff with this melody that you couldn't do if you had too many changes in the song. So I think you're exactly right. They want to be inspired, just like going to the gym. It's like, I'm not inspired to go to the gym. Like I go because I'm trying to take care. I don't enjoy. If I can just get there, then I'll get something out of it. But if I do it where if I do it the way that, if I wait until I feel like getting up out of bed and going and doing it, then it's never going to happen. So.
Yeah. Like some days at the gym are better than others, but it's like you still keep literally working out those muscles.
Yeah. Yep.
So earlier, I think you mentioned that you had 10-year long students at your academy.
Yeah. In fact, before I opened the music school, which was April of whatever 9 years ago was, 2014. April of 2014 is when we opened the doors. Before that, I was teaching out of my house, just by myself for 2 years. And then before that, I was teaching on evenings and weekends while being a full-time elementary music school teacher for Fort Worth ISD. So I had some students that were with me before the music school opened that ended up being with me for 10 years. But we celebrated a huge milestone in December with a student that celebrated 10 years, but with no months off. Those other students that had been with us 10 years, they would miss a couple months for summer or whatever.
Sure.
This kid, even when his mom got cancer.
Oh my God.
And she called me and she said, "What do you think about this?" And I said, "Look, that's a decision for you guys. If you need to y'all take care of yourselves." Right. And she was like, "I just really feel like he needs this consistency." And they didn't take the month off.
Yeah.
And he kept going. And you know him. Yeah. You know who it is.
Yeah, Cooper.
Yeah.
How's mom?
What's that?
How's mom?
Wonderful.
That's what I want.
She's great.
Okay.
She's great. Yes. Yeah.
I needed some closure there.
Yeah.
But Cooper, and this is a testament to longevity. When people are like, "Gosh, am I good yet? Am I going to be good?" I mean, it really takes a long time. And so Cooper just played. Sean invited him to play at the Granada with them. And so
it was the highlight of the show. I was like, well, I should have put that at the end because now it's all going to be disappointment from here forward. After I told the story about, him playing and why, what we had done. And it was, out of the show that we did together, he played a song called Rabbits. That was like one of the first songs. You know the song.
You've played it on the show.
Yeah. So exactly. Then, but when he got up there, he sang it and everything like that and had it all worked out. And it was like, when I told people the story, they were just screaming. And I was sitting there going like, look, your first gigs are probably not going to be that. That was awesome. But don't be disappointed when you play your first show in Des Moines and there's like 8 people there and nobody cares. You're just a filler gap for
8
the
would
next
be
band.
wonderful, right? For your first gig?
That's a pretty good number. That's a good target.
but that level of patience, I mean, it took him 10 years before he really started. It was probably about 6 years before he started playing in church bands and all of that. But now after 10 years, getting that opportunity with Sean and the Cutthroat Finches to play at the Granada. And so like when I have these parents after 6 months, it doesn't happen that much anymore, but they used to say like, "My kid's not very good yet." And I'm just like, you really got to take a big picture with this. They'll get opportunities, but it's going to take a long time.
Yeah. No, it was cool. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed connecting with the kids and just feeling like, I'm mostly interested. I was talking to a guy last night at the New Magnolia Motor Lounge, which the sound there is Cynthia that runs sound there. I'll just give her a shout out.
It's badass. I love it.
She has really got it dialed in.
I still have never been there.
Got it.
The new one in the traffic circle is it's actually really close to your house.
It's very close.
That's where Magnolia is?
Next to the German restaurant?
Yeah, it's right next to Edelweiss.
Oh my gosh, I can walk there.
Yeah, I know, exactly. It's right by you, but the sound there is really, really good. It'd be a good place to host an event like we did before. I mean, especially if it's earlier or whatever, then I know they don't allow kids under 21 there after a certain time at night, but if it was like an afternoon show,
it's fine. We're usually like 3 in the afternoon.
Why can't all shows be 3 o'clock?
That's like Andrew and I were talking about that before we started. Like, who wants to be out past 10 o'clock anymore?
The thing that keeps coming up on this show whenever I'm talking to musicians is that the culture has kind of changed here. People do not want to stay until 11 o'clock at night to see the headliner. They don't.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get in and get out before like 10 o'clock. Honestly.
We're playing tonight at 8 o'clock at Tulips. Perfect. I'm like, that is so perfect because playing at midnight, I mean, I'm so exhausted by the time it gets there. It's like I'm just ready. Already, all I'm thinking about is I can't wait till this is over. And that really shouldn't be the way that you go into a show.
Well, and you put on such a performance too. You're not just up there playing music. You're all over the place,
Yeah.
So it looks exhausting.
Getting sweaty, shredding my knees, my old knees, my old man knees.
It might be the only reason you still have knees, sir. All that exercise
Do
up
the
on stage.
samurai kicks.
So that performance that Cooper got to do with you guys out of Granada, that really came out of what we had done as a partnership between the Music Academy and the Cutthroat Finches before that. And I wish I could take credit for the idea, but it was actually a very entrepreneurial friend of mine who said, you know what would be cool? He said, you should partner with a local band and get your kids to learn that band's songs, and they do a joint concert together.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course I immediately thought of Sean. I was like, family-friendly band, contrary to popular belief.
Contrary to this project.
Yeah, that's right. Contrary to what we just heard you record today. And just like he's a guy I trust, despite the things he would say to me on stage at church during prayer time when we played together. And y'all's songs are like I would say like more for a general audience. Like it's something that has mass appeal. I mean that in a good way. Like sometimes musicians take that in a bad way. But Cutthroat Finch is a band like the whole family can come to see. And so I reached out to Sean, and Sean immediately loved the idea. And so we did that for the first time in February of 2020. And those of you who know your history, it really went well. And we did that at Mass.
Yeah.
Didn't we?
Yep.
Yeah. With Mark, who's here now, and he was running sound. Rest in peace, Mass.
Yes.
Rest in peace, Mass.
And I think we had 10 students learn their songs. And then we went and rehearsed where the Cutthroat Finches play.
Beautiful rehearsal studio.
Oh my gosh. I got
No air
so
conditioning.
many phone calls.
Where's this at?
No heat.
It's
Next to some train tracks and a warehouse. Just a bit of cat and rat urine, kind of vibe in there, but it was not nice at the time. It's gotten better. It's gotten better. We've finished out part of the warehouse, but it was just a big open warehouse. The original place was that it was better actually. The place they did last time. This time I was like, "Are you sure you want to bring the kids over here? It's cold, or really hot. Either one."
So like I'll get calls and text messages as they're showing up. Like, "Are you sure this is the right place?" I'm like, "If you are a little concerned that
probably
somebody,
in the right place."
yeah. If you're concerned for your safety, you're in the right place." But it's so cool because as soon as the kids rehearsed with the band, they felt like they had made it. Like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And so then that concert went really well. The kids bought all the merch and became fans of the band, and it was, I think it was just great all around for everybody. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have got to do this again. Maybe we can find some other bands to partner with, but for sure we do this like once a year with the Cutthroat Finches. And then March 2020 happened.
Yeah.
And just, everything shut down.
So now y'all are kind of tossing ideas back and forth, see if you can get the ball rolling again.
So we did it at Tulips a couple months ago in December of 2022.
Awesome.
So that was getting the band back together, and we had some of the original kids that had done it from before. And Sean was like, let's have more kids do it.
Yeah.
So we had 20 kids learn 10 songs, and so we had several songs where there were multiple kids. We had one song where there were 4 students playing with the band.
Just fill in spots as we'd go, jump on bass, and the bass player would go get a beer, and and then come back, and then Taylor, just all of us rotating basically.
Yeah,
Cooper sang one, but I couldn't go off the stage because I'm a narcissist, so I had to stay up there, be in the spotlight.
You could sell tickets to this and put it all towards charity or something.
Yeah.
Well, then the kids could say, I played for a gig where people had to pay to get in.
Yeah, well, they did. People did.
Oh, really?
It was a ticketed event because
You're ahead of me.
These venues are not necessarily cheap. I mean, you think about the rent that Jason at Tulips. Tulips is a cool place. I had never been there before that.
Great sound.
Yeah. But you think about all of the expenses that the owner has. And so you got to find a way to make it financially
feasible.
Yeah. So you got to charge for tickets, or have the students like buy a package ahead of time. So what we did was we sold tickets for for the event.
Nice.
But
That's very
yeah, so there are a couple of other bands I'd like to reach out to, but my only concern is like it was such a good experience with Sean and the Cutthroat Finches that I mean they're so good with the kids. Like Sean, I think, is an educator at heart, and he's so hands on with like, hey, let's do this. Here's how this works. And I don't know if other
you got to find somebody that's got a passion for education for it to pan out the same way.
Well, and someone who really has a passion for I don't know if I know anybody that has more of a connection to the city of Fort Worth than Sean. Well, of course, you were on the cover of Fort Worth magazine.
Yeah, the mayor pro tem, is that a role I can take?
I think I can't remember exactly what it said on the cover, but I think it was like sexiest man of Fort Worth or something like that.
Mayor pro tem is like the vice president. It's like the vice mayor.
Is that position available?
It's one position below mayor.
What about music czar of Fort Worth? That's what I'd like to be.
If that's not a thing, it should be.
Not a paid position.
That should be an official, because you would be the guy for that.
Definitely.
Sean knows every musician and pretty much every person in Fort Worth.
Yeah. And how did you guys get connected?
Well, that started, how many years ago was that now? That was probably
10 or more, 15 maybe.
Oh my gosh. Okay. You know what's hilarious? I was going back through some of my old journals. I've sporadically kept track, and I found one. It was from like 2010, I want to say. And it was like, today I met Sean Russell at church, and he was presenting what he was going through in his personal life and as a musician in a band. And I was like, this guy's cool. And then we ended up, so we met at church, and then we played on the church worship team together for like almost a decade.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah. Often. Yeah. So, and that was about the same time. I think we did that show about the time. I think I stopped doing that, but it was a good solid 10-year stretch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Eric, have you always lived in Fort Worth?
I grew up in Fort Worth, in Ridgely Hills, and now like a true homebody. I flew the coop, went to Michigan, and went to school up at a little place called Hope College in Holland, Michigan, where someone found my first CD in a thrift store today, and they sent me a picture. They're like, "Hey, are you this guy?" And I was like, if you buy that, I'll buy it from you, send it to me so I can bury it and make sure nobody ever hears that. And then I went to Berklee College of Music for a semester, which is where Sean's daughter, Maddie, is at now. But then after college, I came back to Fort Worth to get the punk band back together, which quickly fell apart. But then I met my wife, and I stayed here, bought a house in Ridgely Hills, and started my business.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, we've got a pretty incredible music scene here in Fort Worth. There's a lot of different directions that aspiring musicians could go. If your school is going to be a good option for them, where can they find more information about Fort Worth Music Academy? So
fortworthmusicacademy.com. Mm-hmm. You can also email me directly, eric@fortworthmusicacademy.com. And there's a little form you can fill out there, and I'm pretty good about reaching out to people pretty quick. So if you fill out that form, you'll probably get a phone call directly from me within could be 5 minutes, might be a couple hours, but you'll hear from me pretty quick.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Y'all got anything, any projects brewing on the near horizon?
So we do 2 big school concerts a year. Our next big one will be in April, and then we'll have another big one in the fall, and then I'm hoping Sean and the Cutthroat Finches will team up with them again next fall, and then there may be another band in the works that we're looking to team up with.
You guys are pretty active on Instagram, so.
I mean, it comes down to me right now. Yeah. So you'll see like how business minded I am. You'll be like, wow, he posted every day this week, and he's got some slick sales pitch in there. And then it'll be like a 2-month stretch with nothing.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, Eric forgot to be a businessman.
I feel that. I'm right there with you. Love the same.
The love-hate relationship with social media. I think I would say probably every band I know, their least favorite part of the whole deal is social media.
Absolutely.
But it's absolutely necessary, unfortunately. For us, we're tied to its fate, no matter what, no matter how we like it, because if we're not on it, and we don't have the followers, then we don't play the festivals, or we don't get shows, or we don't get the stuff we want, or it's kind of like our price is fixed to that and our Spotify streams. The two things that pay nothing and take all.
Yeah. Yeah, creators, business owners, and everybody in between. You kind of a slave to this stupid thing that we created and everybody hates.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing makes you feel more whorish than posting on social media.
Let me go ahead and put this nose on. Let me put the lipstick around my face. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, if somebody's looking for you, or they're looking for whatever you have, and then they hear about you and they get on social media and they're like, oh, they were last active 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's a bad look.
They need to see that you're constantly doing stuff.
It's like a resume. It's like it
really is
living resume.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Eric, you got anything else to throw out to the listeners before we get out of here?
Man, I really don't. I do want to say I'm really grateful just for the Fort Worth community and for the Fort Worth Roots podcast. I was really excited to find you and see
excited
that
you reached out to me. That's such a cool moment when somebody with your level of accomplishment, you've had this studio or this academy for a decade more, or a decade plus. And you're reaching out to this lowly little podcaster. So thank you very much.
No, I wouldn't put it that way. But, and then we got people like Sean, and then, of course, we got this wonderful studio that we're at right now, Blackstone, with, Nick. And Nick sings in Arenda Light, Rowdy, who is one of our awesome instructors at Fort Worth Music Academy. He plays guitar in the band. And then, of course, Mark, who was running sound at Mass, and now he's got this studio with Nick. And it's just cool how much music there is here and how connected everybody is. And I love getting to be a small part of that.
And talking about how much we hate social media, whenever they did their grand opening or whatever open house 2 weeks ago, everybody that I know inside the music community here in Fort Worth either left a comment or a thumbs up or a heart or something for the post talking about this place getting the wheel rolling. So it's obvious that they know people and people know about them. So they've got the connections that are going to make them successful, it looks like. And they deserve it because this place is amazing.
Oh, my gosh. Anyone who sees it or hears what they've recorded out of this place, I mean, they should use your recording from this morning, Sean, as like, this is what you could sound like. Yeah. I'm serious, man. This place really is a dream. Like, this is so cool. I hope people are beating down the doors to record here.
They certainly will be. And we'll, of course, plug them in this. And information about Blackstone will be in the show notes, along with Fort Worth Music Academy.
Got to get those Google backlinks.
And some CTF in there, too.
Yeah, get them cutthroats in there.
And if you want to soft release that song we heard today on this episode, it's an option.
You're welcome to a segment of it. I'll let you do the beeping.
Oh, well, we don't do a whole lot of that on this show.
That's true.
So far, nobody's gotten after me, so we're all right. Okay, guys. And what's your Instagram?
At Fort Worth Music Academy.
Okay, and Sean?
At cut_throat_ Finches. I don't know why I did that. It's stupid. But yes, that's it.
Well, it works. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks again for being on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. And Fort Worth Roots, we'll see you next week. Big shout out to our new friends at Blackstone Recording Studio. Guys, thanks for letting us do this recording at your new badass location. If you're looking to record a thing, this is the place to go. If you just want to go check out a badass recording studio, this is also where you go. They were telling us plans of future endeavors that they have there at the studio. Bright futures ahead of these guys. Really incredible. I'm glad that it's happening here in Fort Worth. And they told us that it was very important when they were looking at studio spaces. It had to be a Fort Worth zip code. Like, it had to be in Fort Worth. No way they were going to do this anywhere else but Fort Worth. And we're so glad that they did. Congratulations on the new studio, guys. And thanks again. Fort Worth Music Academy. Mr. Eric, thank you for being on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. Sean Russell with the Cutthroat Finches, thank you for being here. I'm going to have show notes with all the links for Blackstone, for Fort Worth Music Academy, and Cutthroat Finches. So don't miss that in the show notes. Check it out. All good stuff. Okay, where are we at? Let's do sponsors real quick. Woodpost Metalworks. Go to woodpostmetalworks.com and use offer code podcast817. They specialize in metal signs with or without LED backlighting, fence and gate repair or installation. Some of you might need that after these high winds we had the other day. Light steel fabrication, industrial plasma cutting, and more. HoukWalker Originals. These people know what they're doing. They're pretty good with that laser engraver. They offer a huge variety of unique and personalized gifts, also laser engraving, to customize just about anything you can think of. Go to HoukWalker.com. Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. Dude, there's all sorts of roof damage all over town. It looks like it hits some areas more than others. Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk signs are popping up all around where the studio is. Seeing them everywhere. So, if you have an inkling of an idea that you might need someone to look at your roof, and listen, you do this before the water starts coming through your ceiling. That can cost thousands of dollars. So, if you're looking at your roof and you're like, I don't know, that don't look quite right, give my buddy Darren a call. 817-692-8496. You can find them online at roofingsolutionshouk.com. And you get a 50% discount on a roofing tune-up. So, give them a call. 817-692-8496. Who are we missing? Pouring Glory. You heard about them up front. I was there today with the whole team, and these people are awesome. I went ahead and got the simplest thing on their menu. It's the Pouring Glory burger, the PG burger. It's an oldie but a goldie, and I love it. Got that and their delicious fries and some of their amazing beers on tap. So, and then I got a chance to sit outside and make new friends with some awesome people. It's inside the medical district, kind of crammed between was it Harris and JPS. So you get doctors and nurses and all sorts of people that specialize in different fields. And so if you're looking for a beer or a great burger, this is where you want to go. If you want to randomly run into awesome people that are highly sought after, if you have a serious injury, and just strike up a conversation with a specialist. Anyway, just cool people popping in and out of this place. So that's a perk. I don't think my new friends are going to be listening to this episode, but if they do, thanks for dinner, guys. Had a great time. All right. What else? Pouring Glory. Go there. Main at Southside. You remember that place? Rest in peace, Mass. It's just east of that. Like it's kind of isolated, landlocked, if you will. But that makes it special because not everybody knows about it. You do because you listen to podcasts. You're smart. Go check it out. Tell them Fort Worth Roots sent you. I didn't send you. You went. You went because you wanted a tasty burger. Okay, events. Oh, God, do I have that in front of me? I don't, but I know them all by heart now, and you should too. April 7th, we got Psychedelic Panther. That's going to be at Lola's. I think he's going to have like 30 different bands. There's going to be 2 stages. It's going to be a Friday, Saturday event. Last year we did 3 days, and we actually did an episode with our homie that's putting it all on. I don't know what episode that was. Anyway, it's listed Psychedelic Panther in our catalog 5 or 6 episodes ago. And we talk a lot about the details for the show. But it's going to be fun. Mark it on your calendar. Come on out. I'll be there. Fort Worth Roots will be representing. April's going to be a very busy month for us. And then 420, it's on a Thursday. I know, it's on a Thursday, but it's 420. So we'll be at Pouring Glory. And I don't have all the details for that. It sounds like Denver Williams will definitely be playing, which that right there in and of itself, aside from the great food and the drinks and the camaraderie and the podcast that will be there, Denver Williams puts on a great show. It's an incredible musician, great artist, and if you have not yet checked him out, this would be the best time to do it. Unless he's got a show in between now and then that you were wanting to go check out, you should see that too. But Pouring Glory, that's April 20th for the 420 event. And then the very next day, there's going to be a police escort that starts at Grump's here in River Oaks. Grump's is a burger place. They're using their parking lot, and they're going to do a police escort kind of parade thing. Last minute, just kind of promotional for the big event that happens on April 22nd, which is the River Oaks Springfest Car Show. And this is going to be a lot of fun. Last year, they stopped counting heads at 7,500 people or something like that. But we're confident that there were 10,000 heads out there. 10,000 people attended at the YMCA Camp Carter grounds. And this year's going to be bigger. More classic cars, more vendors, more food trucks, more good stuff. And if you have not been out to YMCA Camp Carter, this is an extremely, it's beautiful. It's a great place. You're standing in the middle of the compound or the grounds, and you're surrounded by trees. You're still in the middle of Fort Worth, but you'd never know it. Feels like you're hundreds of miles away at some beautiful resort, campground, whatever. Anyway, it's great. Bring your kids out. It's free to attend. That's very important. You make sure I start stressing that. No money needed. But you're going to want to spend money on the vendors there. So bring some cash. Bring a card. Everybody takes a card now, right? Surely. All right. And Fort Worth Roots is going to be at all those events. And we'd love to see you. Take pictures with you. Kiss some hands. Shake some babies. Do that whole thing. So, yeah. Good deal. All right. I've made a lot of promises lately about releasing more episodes than just the one a week. I'm hot. I'm hot on it. I'm doing it. I am in here cranking out videos of all sorts. And I'm going to get you some extra episodes this week. I promise. And we've got some time-sensitive ones here, too. So, I mean, my feet are really to the coals. We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. So, every Monday, without fail, for the last 2 years, you know, we got you covered. But we are also going to be releasing some extra episodes. So that will be good. All right. Last thing I'll tell you, I'm looking it up right now. Don't go anywhere. The phone number that you need to call to leave me a voicemail anytime you want to. For whatever reason. Tell me how your day went. Tell me what your dog had for supper. Tell me what you don't want for Christmas. I don't care. I'd like you to tell me what you think about the show. Share some ideas. Say something crazy. I don't care. The number is 817-988-1292, and I will try to make sure that's in the show notes because I don't think I've added that to the show notes yet. But anyway, you can call that number. I will, 90% of the time I'm not carrying that phone because I just bought it for the camera. But anyway, it'll go straight to voicemail. And you can leave us a little voicemail, and I can play it back on the Roadcaster for the next episode. Unless you say something just bananas, crazy, awful, then, you know, I might be calling you and be like, hey, is everything okay at home? Like, what's going on? I want to know because I care. All right. That's it. I love you. I will do more episodes. Okay. We'll see you later. See you next week. But before then, same. Bye.